Welcome to Mojo Talks, where we explore the world through stories. I'm Mayur Channagere, visual storyteller and your host. Today's podcast, I thought I'll share a bit about AGNA, the production company that I started 14 years ago, and how the journey has evolved over the last 14 years. My journey as a photographer started in 2004 by accident. And 2006, 2007 is when it's kind of started taking a peak. Digital cameras were just introduced. I started shooting concerts and street. And so, there were things that were close to my heart which I started enjoying and started capturing those visuals. This was also a time when I was working with Infosys. And having a camera and a photographer in-house was an advantage for the marketing team. So I was the go-to guy, basically. So that's how my corporate exposure started. So that kind of opened up a completely different world to me in terms of corporate storytelling and shooting these portraits and giving me that fantastic access to the CXOs. That was also the time during 2006. I spent a lot of time in the US and I was given an opportunity to move. They said, why don't you shift to the US? So when they gave me the chance, when they said, why don't you shift? It also kind of triggered off this process of, do I really want to, right? Because I already spent time abroad, be it work or while doing my MBA in London. So I'd already experienced that, that life. So that didn't really fascinate me. So to cut the story short, had a conversation with Priya, my wife, with my parents. And we kind of, I said, okay, let me take a sabbatical. Let me take a break. And there's always this lingering doubt in your mind, right? Am I taking the right decision? What if I fail? Do I have enough savings to sustain the sabbatical? What if I'm not able to get back into the corporate life after this? So all these doubts were there playing in my mind. Being the maverick that I am, I always took decisions based on my gut feeling. And I'm very impulsive in that. And the turning point for me to take the decision was the day I got a call from the visa department of Infosys. And it was at that point that it was like a message from Swami saying that, you know what? Take up photography. That's it. The next day I spoke to Amit, who was my boss. And I said, this is what I want to do. And kind of I first thought that, Amit's going to try to convince me to stay back. And, he said, why the hell are you taking this decision and all that? On the contrary, Amit's reaction was that, good. Finally, you took that decision. It's long due. So that kind of also gave me the confidence to say that, okay, photography is something that I enjoy, something I'm pretty decent with. And I said, okay, let's take that call. So that's how I resigned with Infosys and decided to start photography as a professional. So when you start a company, right, I was very clear at that point that I wanted to create a legacy. I wanted to create a company that will withstand the time. It should have its own identity and not just as Mayur Channagere photography. Then it becomes person dependent, right? And also things that I learned during my corporate stint is that no one person or an individual can create a standing legacy. It has to be a team. But still, so keeping that in mind, what I decided that we will start a company called AGNA. So AGNA means the third eye, which is not Shiva's third eye, but AGNA also means seeing beyond what you see, which is photography. And it is not something that is mundane. you're going deeper into the story, going deeper into the soul of a person. And that is what you got to capture. And that is what I wanted to do. So we decided that the company's name is going to be AGNA, which again, a very dear friend of mine, Shobha, was the one who came up with the name. When we were talking about what the company is going to stand for, the kind of work that we're going to do. So Shobha came up with the name AGNA. But then, AGNA is very unique. Unless someone who has a very deep knowledge of Sanskrit and our scriptures would not be able to relate to the name. So over, I would say, the first 2 years, it kind of became that though company's name was AGNA, it was registered as AGNA, it kind of became that known as Mayur Channagere photography. And then people would come and talk and say, oh, I hope Mayur, you're coming for the shoot. Oh, Mayur has shot this. Though it was just me at that point. But as the team grew, I realized that it cannot be Mayur. Right? And I decided to kill the brand Mayur completely. And decided to create an alter ego for AGNA, which was Photo Mojo, which even to this day, after 14 years, many of our old clients and friends still relate to Photo Mojo. So in a way, brand Mayur died in this first few years, and Photo Mojo as a brand took birth, and that survived over the years. And that became the identity. Jay Iyer, a very dear friend and an amazing artist. One day we were sitting over a cup of coffee. He came over to the office. We were sitting and talking about, Photo Mojo, AGNA, what we do, how we shoot, the style, and what we stand for. And we were just chatting. And during the course of that conversation over coffee, he kind of sketched out our mascot, which is the cat. And he loosely based it on me, my glasses. When we shoot, when we capture, we are there, yet not there. People don't realize when we will sneak in, where we will sneak in, or what we are capturing. We are like that, the very nimble on our feet, jumping around and capturing every corner, every nook and corner, we are there. But at the same time, we have this invisible cloak, the cape. So he integrated all these into the brand mascot, and that's how the Mojo cat came into existence. Which was fantastic because people were able to relate to the mascot. They were able to relate to the logo. The name Photo Mojo talks about photo and mojo. Mojo also means your inner desires. Mojo in American Indian scriptures also means it's the potli or the bag that grants your inner desires, which in a way where that's what we were capturing. You want to be the model, you want to look like the hero, you want to look like the so we kind of bring that out in our photos and visuals. So Photo Mojo became a perfect name that kind of identified with who we are, what we do. Then as the business grew, so did our services, right? And we started after I think about 3 to 4 years of our existence is when videography came into play. And that became our key service along with photography. Then came animation, then came design. So more service lines started getting added. And somewhere we felt that Photo Mojo as a brand will not do justice to all the verticals and the services that we were doing. So on our 10th anniversary, we had to take that tough call of reintroducing AGNA as a brand. So today, if you see, after 4 years of reintroducing AGNA, today people are able to relate to AGNA, the visuals, the stories, and the services that we provide. And somewhere during these 14 years, brand Mayur Channagere also kind of took a backseat. And AGNA as a brand, as a company, has taken the forefront. One, because today when we talk about AGNA, it is not just Mayur. It is the entire team that is there creating those visuals, creating those stories. The culture that we built the entire company on has withstood the time. And whether you interact with me or any member of the team, you'll find that culture, which is human connections, be it the way we approach a story, be it that strong urge that anything that leaves our desk has to be perfect. I'll be very, very honest. There are times when I'm ready to compromise on certain things, but they will not. Because for them, the minute it leaves the desk, it has AGNA's signature. And for them, AGNA is them and they are AGNA. That is the culture that I'm talking about. And these are things that, by God's Swami's grace, subconsciously has come into the team. I didn't have to really push for it. They feel for it. At the same time, everyone's been part of our journey, right? For the last 14 years. They've been with AGNA. They believe they are AGNA. And that's a rare quality. And today, if we are able to deliver something phenomenal, something which we push ourselves, push the boundaries of creativity, push the boundaries of, working long hours in spite of being tired, in spite of having body aches. If we push ourselves to deliver that, it is because everyone in the team believes that we have to give the best. And that is a very, 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 very rare quality to have a team. And I'm grateful for that. Because, in today's world where everyone's talking about jumping ships, moving across companies, and there is no loyalty in the market, these guys have been with me. And I'm thankful for that. So today, when we talk about AGNA as a brand, it is because of them. I'm just a poster boy. And there have been so many people who have come and have been part of this journey. They've been with us for months, for years. And so some of them have gone and set up their own production houses. They started their own journey as a photographer, as a storyteller. And all of them are doing great. And somewhere, when I look back at all these kids who've been with us, I feel good. Because one of the things that I always believed is that if I can create and inspire even a handful of people, and they in turn can go out and inspire another handful, and the chain goes on, I think my work here is done. And if these values that we have built over the last 14 years get replicated elsewhere, not necessarily in a production house, in anything that they do, my work here is done. And I'm ever grateful for that. I think this conversation kind of started to kind of give a sense of how the journey of AGNA started, and wanted to share about the journey in terms of 14 years of brand and identity and this thing. But I think this summarizes who we are. And these 14 years has been fabulous. We've been extremely lucky to have the kind of clients. We've been extremely lucky to have friends, extremely lucky to have clients who have become friends, and they are my best brand ambassadors. They go out and they probably sell hard about who we are to their friends and families than we do. That feels good. To time and again push our boundaries to create something beautiful And there are days when we are doing this, we reach a burnout point and we are so stressed out. I'll be lying if I say that we haven't failed. We have failed. I'll be the first one to admit that. We have failed so many times. But even in those failures, we have learned. We have learned our lessons and we come back stronger every time. And we come back stronger fixing those mistakes that we did. As I talk about the internal, the team dynamics. Yes, fabulous team. I'll also be lying if I say that we do not have issues. We have creative differences, personal differences. But when we get on ground, we put everything aside. And all of us work on a single goal. And that single goal is to create a story, create a visual, create something so beautiful for our clients, for our friends. And we work towards that and we put everything aside. Yeah. Once that is done, we come back and we fight like cats. But then we also fight like cats because we want to push our boundaries. We want to push our boundaries individually. We want to push our boundaries as a team. I think that's like, for me, it's like a family. Every family has the dynamics. Every family, you have your differences, you have your arguments, you have your fights, but in the end, we all come together as a family to create something beautiful. The relationships. And for me, when I look at my team, at Team AGNA, that's what they are. If anybody tells you, any entrepreneur tells you that everything is hunky-dory, he's lying. Because there are ups and downs. There are days when you're fully packed. There are days when you have nothing to do and you're wondering where your next shoot is coming. And then there are days when you also have these creative blocks where you just can't work. You have challenges, you have hurdles, but we overcome that. And when we overcome that is when we fucking get the best product out. When I look back, right, and we get that one message on WhatsApp or an email or a call, and the client says, you know what, we're getting fantastic responses on the videos or the photographs that you created, or they come back from a fabulous international event and they say that, what you created has taken our brand to the next level. Or I just log into Facebook on a Mother's Day or a Father's Day, and you look at photographs that you have shot of them, and they use those photographs to celebrate their relationships. Or you would have shot pictures, family portraits when they were kids, and today when you meet them and they are teenagers, and the reference the parents give is like, hey, you know what, meet Mayur, or meet Mayur uncle. You see the image that's on the mantle or on the wall when you were a baby, it was shot by him. It gives that joy, it gives that purpose, and it feels amazing. And somewhere you feel that you have taken the right decision, because people might not remember the name Mayur, people might not remember the name Photo Mojo, people might not remember the name AGNA, but something that you have created has outlived all this. Creating a brand, creating a company, creating something that will last beyond you comes with its own share of challenges. It'll come with hurdles, stress, compromises, but stay on the course. Stay on the course with that target, saying that I want to create something beautiful and believe in that. I think I just want to kind of wrap this by saying what started off as an individual's journey to take a sabbatical over the last 14 years, we have created something beautiful.